All right, y'all, welcome back to Healthy Design. Today we'll kind of do a part two of the diet and gut health side. Last time we focused a good bit on the diet. This time we'll do a little bit with the gut health. And so let's get a little background anatomy. Our gut lining is only a single cell layer thick, and there are these tight junctions that help to keep things in that should be in, keep things out that should be out. We have similar tight junctions in our blood vessels as well. But even backing up further than that, our gut or digestive system, it's kind of an odd thing that it's something that's inside of us, but technically it's outside of us, and that's why that those tight junctions, that control of what gets in, what gets out, is so important. If just anything we eat gets out, then that's going to be recognized by our immune system as a foreign invader. It's going to set off an immune reaction, and that can lead to different problems. This can occur. There is something that is kind of in a slang term called leaky gut. And for a long time, there were different people that said this was not something that occurred. But if you look on like PubMed and search intestinal permeability, same thing, just means that intestine is kind of opened up. Stuff can get in and out. It's more permeable now. You can find, hundreds, thousands of studies. So this is something that can occur. I'm not saying it occurs for everyone by any means, but that's why we want to be careful with things. And that's also why our gut health can impact other areas. So we want those tight junctions to function like they should. We only want things to get out into our bloodstream that should, and that's how we want things to work. So one thing most people know about now is that we've got a whole bunch of bacteria in our gut. I think there's like 10 trillion cells, might even be more than that. And different studies have been done trying to see kind of what maybe proportion of this bacteria versus this bacteria and this one that we need to be healthy. And so people get really focused on that kind of balance with the bacteria. And there's also fungi in there, viruses, different things too. And we just want that ecosystem to be healthy. And so people are looking, trying to figure out what that is. We don't really know. It seems like that what is considered healthy and that balance is different depending on where you live, what you eat, all these other things. So we can't necessarily take one group, say in Africa, and say, okay, this is what's healthy because they don't have much disease at all, and this is what their gut bacteria looks like, and then say that's what people in North America should be. And we can't do the opposite as well. So we have to just kind of keep that in mind, that we don't exactly know all the different variations that constitute a healthy gut microbiome. But we do want that to be healthy because we do get certain vitamins from our gut bacteria as well. And so we want that to be, we want them to be strong, we want them to be healthy, we want them to reproduce. And plus, the good bacteria in our gut helps to keep down some of the more offending invaders in a sense, or offending people that are in there. So like C. diff is one example. We do have C. diff in our gut. Everybody does. It's kept in check by all that good bacteria. When they're not able to do that, that's when C. diff can proliferate, and then it becomes a big issue. And so we don't want that. Again, we want to keep things healthy. But all of our gut health does not just center on that microbiome either. I do think it plays a big role. There seems to be some research suggesting that the bacteria actually do communicate with the brain and different things too. Again, like I said, there's that their ability to produce some of the vitamins that we need. And there is a true gut-brain connection as well. I mean, so a physical connection, that vagus nerve. So I do think some of that plays a big role in things. But again, bacteria is not the only thing. It is a big component. What I see a lot of times with people is just that their gut's inflamed. And when that happens, now we're going to have issues with digesting food. And if we can't digest food well, then we can't absorb the nutrients from our food. And if we're not getting the nutrients from our food, then we can't run all the chemical reactions in our body. And then we start to have symptoms, and then we have bigger issues. So digestion is kind of where it starts. We want to make sure things aren't inflamed. If there's, some inflammation is good, a lot of inflammation is bad. I'll leave it at that for now. Later on, we'll talk about Robert Naviaux's cell danger response theory and kind of how that plays in immune system with cells, mitochondria. So we'll kind of put that talk to the side for now. But just know that inflammation in and of itself is not bad. It's when it persists after it should be gone, that's when it starts to become an issue. But in and of itself, when it first starts, that's actually part of that healing cycle. And so we need it, we want it. But again, if our gut's inflamed, that's going to impact us on how we can absorb and digest. And this brings me to another point. We often just think of digestion kind of occurring through here, which a good bit does, but truly digestion starts before you even take the first bite. So spend just a little bit of time, trying to kind of smell the food and everything, because that's going to kickstart some things in your brain that start get those digestive processes going a little bit sooner. And then another thing I see quite often is people will, take a big bite of food, they maybe chew twice, and then they're swallowing. We don't want to do that, because then, I mean, you can do that, obviously. People have done that for a long time, but that's going to put more stress down here for it to break up everything. What you want to do is make sure you chew your food thoroughly. That helps to get more saliva in our mouth, and there's all kinds of enzymes there to help start breaking down the protein, the fats, and the carbohydrates. And so the more we can chew our food, then we kind of get a lot of that digestion to occur in our mouth, and then there's not as much to do down here. And so that can take a little bit of load off there. So if there is inflammation, then maybe it's not stress as much. Maybe that helps that inflammation to go down a little bit or go away, and things to get healthier too. And so then, it's going to go down our throat, go into our stomach. There's going to be more acid there, and it's going to break things down. And then in our gut, so our intestines, that's where a lot of the digestion, absorption, and things take place. So that's kind of a quick overview of digestion. There are different supplements that can be helpful for our gut health. Probiotics is very popular now. They can be really tricky. There's a ton of different families, classes. You can keep breaking it down scientifically, and not all of them have been studied. So it's easy to find different studies where, this specific one had these impacts and these effects, and so you want to get that one. But not every one has been studied, so I don't think that's necessarily the best way to go about it. There's also, again, some differences. I like studies. I like having some evidence about things, but we have to remember too that we don't always match the people that were used in those studies. So I do think they're a good starting point, but they're not necessarily the end point for all of us. We still have to kind of see how we react, how we respond to different things. So for me, a lot of times what I'll do, similar to what Dr. Ruscio does, I like kind of the 3 different types of probiotics in a sense. I like the kind of broad-based spectrum, where you're taking a probiotic that's got several different in there, and so that way it's kind of like a shotgun approach, I guess. And then you got soil-based probiotics that can be really helpful too, and I think that's something we miss out on now because we're not outside as much, not playing in the dirt. Our kids aren't either. And then the third is Saccharomyces boulardii. I see it termed a probiotic yeast, which is kind of odd because technically if it's probiotic, that means it's bacteria, and yeast is not bacteria. But still, it can be really helpful for things. Sometimes for people, depending on what issue they're having, they may need all 3 of those. They may only need 1 of those. Luckily, there's ways to go about figuring out how you respond to it and what you need. Then let's see, from there, digestive enzymes can be really helpful. That way just helps us start breaking down food, helps us to absorb those nutrients a little more easily, maybe take a little bit of the load off our digestive system. And then if you do have some inflammation going on, so that gut lining's inflamed, there are different supplements you can take that can help calm that down. They might help kind of get a nice coating on there, so like slippery elm root. And so a lot of times these will either be capsules or powders that you can do. Again, it's not something that I think everybody needs to take. You need to kind of figure out what it is that you need and kind of go that way rather than just trying everything out and wasting money. And again, this is where it comes down to, you can't just go by like maybe what your friend had success with, because you may have some similar symptoms, but it may be a different cause. So with the gut, maybe they were having these issues with digestion, so they're bloated and different things like that, and so they take this probiotic and they get amazing results. And you're like, I've got issues with bloating, so I'm going to take that probiotic too, and nothing happens. nobody likes that, nobody wants that. So you're like, well, probiotics suck, they don't do anything. Well, that's not the case. They do things. It's just it's not what you needed because your bloating was due more to that inflammation. The probiotics can have an impact on inflammation too, but maybe you needed one of those other supplements to kind of just help calm things down, kind of get a little coating on there. And then maybe your issues will be gone. So, and then in that case too, that, if your friend took that supplement, they wouldn't have noticed any results because theirs was a bacterial issue. So I hope this helps you guys out a little bit. Um, getting into all the details, we can do that later on. Right now, just, the first video, I really just want to kind of give a quick overview of all the foundations of health, the four things as I see them. Now I want to kind of dig a little bit deeper and then give you some more information, and then we can really do deep dives into other things later on. But we'll continue through these four foundations, and then we'll move into different things. I do want to talk about chronic pain, trauma, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the stress section that we do next. And then that'll help kind of lead us into the CDR, cell danger response, because I think that will help to kind of encompass everything, but maybe getting a little bit of background information leading up to it will be pretty good. And so hopefully these things will kind of build on themselves and help increase your knowledge and just give you some more tools. So hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.